This is the Unscripted Climb, the podcast where business owners talk about stuff that doesn't make it to motivational speeches. I'm Chris Beecham, founder of Perch Merch, where we put your logo on things people might actually keep. I co-host this with Natalie McCauley, founder of Oh Hello Agency. She makes brands look like they have their act together. If you want a free merch or brand audit, we do that too. No pressure. Just don't blame us if we're honest. Go to theunscriptedclimb.com. Let's get going.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Unscripted Climb. Today we are joined by Steve Stark, the owner of Thriftworld. I am really excited because I've had the pleasure of working with Steve at Oh Hello. I've gotten to know so many people on his team, and he has a unique gift of bringing a really cool, eclectic group of people together to work at Thriftworld, and I think that's going to be so interesting to talk about. So, Steve, welcome to the show. Let's just start off with, how did you get into the thrift? It's such a different industry.
30 years ago, I was working in a family business, pouring cement and helping set cemetery monuments. And my mom's side of the family had this company for, I don't know, since 1919, so over 100 years. And one day, a relative on my dad's side of the family called me and said, "No, you probably have more to offer the world than digging holes and pouring concrete. How would you like to come and see these stores that I have?" And that was sort of launching that. I flew out to Arizona when I was 21 and met some people that were running stores for his organization. And I liked what I saw. And maybe within a year, I stopped doing what I was doing and got into Thrift.
Super cool because of the fact that you just saying that quote about holes and that you have more to offer the world than digging holes reminds me of the Shia LaBeouf movie Holes. You guys have heard that movie, right?
No.
All right, different generation. Chris?
Okay, so what is Thrift World? Tell me what it is.
It's a chain of thrift stores. So we have 8 retail operations, and that's really the core business is thrift. So similar to Goodwill, similar to any other thrift operation out there, but this is privately owned by me.
How many locations do we have?
8.
Oh, okay. Where are they mainly at? Are they all over, or?
So 5 of them are in the kind of the Omaha metro if you add the Council Bluffs location. And then we have 1 in Carroll, Iowa, and then there's 2 in Missouri. One is in St. Joe, and the other one's in Independence, Missouri.
Okay.
You're in your 20s and you stumble into, buying these thrift stores. Like, what do you even start to do when you're in your 20s and you've never been an entrepreneur before? Like, what's even the process look like?
I mean, for me, it wasn't buying, it was just working, right? Like I came in and I learned how to be a worker in this organization that my uncle had. And over the course of 12 years working with him, I went from being like somebody that they used to fill in and prop up managers that had needs for extra help to sitting in stores when they didn't have them. And then over the course of some time, I got to be into like multi-unit management. And I learned from some really good people.
I still don't understand how this happened.
Well, I've got kind of a long path to get to Thrift World, but a quick summary would be I worked in my uncle's company for 12 years. There was an immaturity issue on my part, and I left that company in a huff. I came to Thrift World and worked for the original founders for 2 years.
How big was it at that time?
4 stores. Mm-hmm. And they had moved several stores around even before I had come. After working here for about 2 years as an area manager / consultant, I left and worked for a large thrift operation for 10 years. I opened stores, I opened markets, I worked with a structure that was kind of a growing corporate structure that didn't really have a lot of corporate people. But over the course of a decade, it became very corporate and went from 20 stores to 30 to 40. It was really exciting. The guy that I worked with was based in Alabama. He was in his 40s at the time, and he had a young family, and he needed someone that could go and travel and do this stuff without him having to physically be there. So it was a really neat experience. I got to learn everything that I, know now a little bit before I got to his operation, and then I got to implement all kinds of stuff while I was with him. And then we grew a corporate structure together, which was really cool. From there, I got a phone call one day from the guy that bought Thriftworld from the founder. And he said, I can't do this. I'm losing my shirt. Would you like to come out and work with me? And I said, no. But if you'd like to sell it, I would be interested in that. And so we worked out a structure over 4 or 5 years of buying his interest out, which is what I did. A funny story about that was John and I liked working together so much that I've kept him on as my employee now. And he's opened up other doors for me with properties that we've invested in together and another company that has, it's a printing business, which we bought into.
So I would say for you, it's all about finding someone, and I feel this with your energy as a person. It's all about finding somebody who you want to do a lot of business with and your values align, because it makes everything easier, right?
Yep.
Has there ever been a moment, and I'm sure there's been many, but maybe one, in the last, decade where you were like, am I sure I know what I'm doing with all of these stores?
I think, yes. There are a lot of times that because I didn't own things before, right? So I was always on the ground with the staff, trying to make things better and piece things together so that the operation would work better as a whole. So I always felt like I had a lot of purpose in what I was doing. And I really liked working with people. Even way back when I was a kid, um, being a part of the organization was fine, but I liked getting everything to work and finding people that could do that stuff. It helped me move into being multi-unit, and I guess that's just sort of like how I'm wired.
So how do you expand something like this? Just shows that you can scale anything that you want to, in my opinion.
I agree. Yeah.
Like a lot of people who would own a thrift store it would just be a one and done.
Yep.
But you were like, not only are we going to go from 4, to 8, we may even keep going, which is.
And we did that during the buyout, which is also kind of a weird thing to do. Like normally you wouldn't take capital and stick it into a new operation. You'd buy your partner off. We just kind of kept going because doors opened up that just couldn't turn them down.
So what do you think? How does that work? Tell me how you.
Yeah. What's the model?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to have a nice location and support. And the Omaha Metro has both of those things. A large portion of our staff is here. And now I've had 6 years to work with a lot of these people. And I have lots of people that have stuck around for quite a while. So, I could grab another store in any part of town that's not too close to the ones that we're in right now. And I think we'd be successfully able to replicate what we have here. The Kansas City market in Missouri, where we have a store in Independence, and St. Joe's about an hour away, I think we're very close to being able to do the same thing there too. Very seasoned managers. The processes are very similar to what we're doing up here. And I'm just kind of hunting right now for another location that'll work. I promised everyone I was going to take this year off of opening because we wanted to work on our processes and not have dumb stuff happen that we had to race out and fix in the middle of the night. People, camping out because managers weren't where they're supposed to be or weird stuff's going on. So we just have this past year, and I think this coming rest of this year, we're going to work on making sure all of our tags are facing the same way. The cups are in the same place. The same amount of garments are going out. We're pricing them with this strategy in mind, and they're displayed a certain way. I mean, I could talk about that stuff all day if you guys let me, but I mean, it's very replicable now.
I think the business of thrift is actually quite complicated, yet also so simple. Like it's both. I'd love for you to explain how do you see the sustainability piece of this with the clothing and the way that the world's operating now? Like, I can buy something at Lululemon and I don't need to go back for like 2 years. And I think it used to be that 10 years ago, you would buy more stuff because it wouldn't last as long. And I feel like the product quality has gotten better to where now I can go thrift something and I don't necessarily need to pay full price. So I feel like you're just in such an interesting juncture of like sustainability and like the fashion economy and what's happening around the world with everybody needing less because things are made better. So I'd just love to hear your take on all that. And that's probably like 3 questions rolled into one, but.
One thing I'd like to just share is that I go to these conventions a couple times a year with other thrift operators and other operators that have the secondary market as their primary business. These are the guys that buy the big bales of stuff we can't sell in retail. And a kind of a common number is thrown around. If the world didn't create one more garment for the next 5 years, there would be no need for any garments to be new anyway, because there's so much that's not being recycled that's just sitting there unused in people's closets or getting disposed of in non-recyclable ways.
Wow.
Yeah. And
so we really don't need new stuff.
We don't. It's like less than 10% of everything that people buy gets recycled in clothing and apparel. So there's still a ton of room for growth in this industry. And you see the way the world is right now with all the talking about tariffs, concerns about things being shipped in and that. If you can buy that same Lululemon for $4 or $5 and it's in great shape, why not get it used instead of going to buy it?
Well, yeah, that's the other thing. Like thrifting has become the cool thing to do in the last couple of years. It wasn't like that your whole time though.
No, it was embarrassing. My friends were going to school to be doctors and lawyers, and I was in the thrift store digging through junk.
Yeah, but that's awesome for you.
Yeah.
But even before that, you had a name for yourself. I'm sure like a lot of your loyal people are upset that it's the cool thing now.
Yeah,
it's my favorite thing to do. I mean, tonight I'll stop by Goodwill on the way home and just see if I can find myself I call it like a little treasure.
Yeah, it's a neat thing. Like I've enjoyed seeing the change in people's mindset. And there's a whole bunch of people like,
what did we talk about at the conference?
Man, so there's this fear that people that are claiming their carbon footprint is reduced by X because of these different things they're doing is a lie. And there's a fear that the goods that we send to places like Africa and Guatemala and wherever are all mountains and it's polluting the environment. And there's a lot of like misinformation out there that people believe. Even on LinkedIn, you'll see these big mountains and stuff, and it's not regulated, and it's just not true. So the group gets together to kind of talk about like going in front of whatever government agencies are trying to put up roadblocks to sell clothing to Africa or Kenya or wherever, and they're actually petitioning, hey, this is our story. This is what we do. We've like 100 years of this organization. It's called SMART, and they do their very best to get in front of the right people to make sure that we have an opportunity to sell used clothing in these secondary markets.
Okay, I'm not a thrift guy yet.
We'll make him one by the end of the podcast. So
I'm trying to like it's for anybody who's out there who's listening who doesn't know. So you okay? Do I bring clothes into you to sell?
You can. Yeah, you can bring stuff in to sell it. I mean, you can bring stuff in, and we'll sell it. You can also call and we'll have a truck come and pick stuff up from your house. And there's other opportunities that people use, like they don't want to donate to Thriftworld or one of our charity partners, and they'd rather give stuff to some smaller thrift. So we'll buy stuff from them as well. Like if they can't get through the product with a volunteer force or whatever the reason is, we'll buy that stuff in bulk from them as well.
What are some of the common misconceptions people have about what it is that you guys do with what people donate?
I mean, I think, in recent years, there hasn't been a whole lot of negativity. There's sometimes people who are like, well, you're ripping off the charity. Like that's the weirdest statement. If you don't realize that, like, we have lots of different charity partners, we buy lots and lots of products from small organizations that are also thrifts or charities directly. You might just not understand how it all works.
I think what's interesting, Chris, that you would appreciate is that they do great marketing with sales. They have a lot of sales, and I'm really curious about your inventory strategy with these sales, because I'm assuming to keep people coming back, you don't want to have the same thing out all the time or they won't come back. So how do you create that supply and demand?
We have a certain amount of stuff that we put out every week, and we have a rotation cycle based on like the different colors that you see on the sales floor. So every week, a new color comes out on the floor, and a color that's been out there for 2 or 3 weeks gets reduced to 50% off. And after it's been 50% off for a week, that item goes to 99 cents. So while we're doing that every single week, it's kind of this dumbbell program. People get bored. During the year, we have like 12 half-off sales. So that's like a little bit of an exciting, out of nowhere, you don't have to wait for 2 weeks for it to go 50% off. It's just, you come in and everything's half off for this one day. And that's built like double, triple days of business for us, which has been really cool. It's difficult to replenish after that because you sell so much in one day, and the staff is kind of like, we got to fill the store back up. But that's a kind of way to build excitement and to get people that maybe haven't been in our stores before to come in for the first time. And it's wow. You see those sale days, it's a zoo. Like there's a big line out the door sometimes.
It's such a testament to great marketing, I think, and great marketing strategy by you and the team, because I think it creates this experiential brand because I know I've been to several of your sales, and it is an experience. There's lines, there's a strategy of how early or late you get there and what you get and where you go in the store. And I think it really creates an experience-driven brand that creates a very emotional feeling of like fun and adventure. And I know personally that's what keeps me coming back and taking friends with me. So I'm curious if you intentionally started to do these sale days the way that you've promoted them, the marketing strategy, to build an experience brand. Like, is that what you were thinking with the sales? I mean, what was the thought behind it?
I thought that we were kind of dead. People are just waiting for that half off color to change. Like the more shoppers you have, they're used to the same thing over and over. This would kind of excite people to come in. I didn't think it would take off like it has. I mean, that's been pretty cool to see.
I mean, it's a thing now.
It really is. And then, we do the surprise sales too, where there's no marketing, and we just send a text because we've built up this huge text audience. Like, I think Asta, she's my area director of stores, did a mom's day. What was it? Super Bowl Sunday or something. Like everybody else wanted to see the football game. Moms come and hit the stores, and she sent this text out to 100,000 text subscribers that we have, and the place went crazy. We're normally in like Nebraska football Sunday. That it's not as busy of a day for us. That was a very busy day for us. So that was a great idea.
That is a spectacular. Okay. No, yeah, you don't
Chris,
even
I'm gonna
think
have to take
about
you
the
to a sale.
marketing part of it,
Yeah.
And I have heard about your sales, that they are they should be videotaped, but you don't allow that.
No, people come in and record stuff every day. I wish I could just allow. There's people that are in there shopping and flipping stuff while they're at the store. They're like literally listing it and selling it while they're in it. So there's all kinds of people videoing stuff. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Because you have people that are buying to resell it.
Yes.
I've
as
done
well.
that.
You have thrifters going to your thrift world.
It's a large part of the customer base now.
I've got a sweater there, and I've walked into brunch the next day, a vintage sweater for $9, and I've had every single one of my friends say, "Oh my gosh, is that from Anthropology? $50 sweater from Anthropology?" And I'm like, no, not even originally. It's just vintage and so cool. And I think the business model is just fascinating. And I'm going to have to take Chris to a sale.
Yeah, because I didn't even realize how fascinating it was. And then the whole marketing aspect of it, and like to have that many on a text subscription thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's kind of everybody's goal as far as like a CRM is to have something like that and for it to work so well.
I can't even believe it. Like, I argued with these guys about doing it. There's this little box at the front of the store called 5 stars, and 5 stars sold to somebody else. I don't know who it is now, but they come in, put in their phone number, and they get like 5% off, $5 off for every $100 you spend. And man, everybody subscribes for that, so then they come in and it builds, every time you get to $100 up, there's $5 off, you want to buy something else, and they can use that on sale days too. So you get 50% off, plus you can use your $5 off. And it's so very, very used subscriber base.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's got my mind turning. Like, how can I, how
that
do you incorporate that into every business,
Yeah. His name is Alan, and he worked in Thrift before he came with me. He was in an operation in Kansas City, and he said he tried it down there and it worked, and they just didn't keep up with it, and he was real frustrated about that, and he asked if we could do it here. And it's like $100 a month per location, so I was just like, oh, come on. But man, it was really worth it. Once we got it going, and the first store we did it in was Carroll, Iowa, which is population like 12,000. Like, there's not very many people there. And like, everybody subscribed. Everybody. So then we started rolling it out in the other stores, and it just snowballed. We've had it for less than 3 years.
Hey, listeners, quick break. Listen, we started this podcast because we actually like talking to other business owners. Whether you're crushing it or just Googled how to fire someone without crying, we've probably been there. If you ever want to connect for merch, branding help, or just swap war stories, check out perch-merch.com or ohhelloagency.com. No pressure. We'll even do a free brand or merch audit if that's your thing. All right, back to the episode.
So I want to switch gears a little bit. Steve, working with you and getting to know your team, Alan, Asta, I think that you are just a masterclass example of how to build a really great culture. What did it look like when you didn't have a good culture and you were just starting? What did you learn along the way to build the culture of leadership that you have now?
Don't let me fool you. I made some terrible mistakes and hired some people that made things difficult and had us hanging in their head. And it was very embarrassing for me to have people that were snotty to one another. So just has been a kind of a continual, like, we're not going to act that way to each other. We're going to be nice to each other. And I don't think myself like some big jerk who looks down their nose at people. And I don't want my people to do that either. And everybody's got a very specific role. I don't have a real deep corporate bench. If you're the IT guy, you're it. You don't have a bunch of people reporting to you. You're the IT guy. And if you're the store director, you might have some helpers, but the store managers report directly to you. And the donation guy, Alan, that we're talking about, I mean, he is responsible for every single thing that has wheels, that moves, that gets product from one store to the other, from one market to the other. So I could ramble about this, but I think I learned from putting the wrong people in place and then also giving people real specific assignments that's their part of the business. And by doing that, those people have taken a lot of pride in their part of the business. And that's made it easier for me to manage with them. I I remember like going to some of these conventions when I worked for that undergrad, and I love that guy. But he always said, you know, Steve works for us. And it always kind of stung. I don't know why. It just did. So when I bring people to those things, I always like to tell them, we work together. I never act like I'm my employee. I feel like that's something maybe a little different that I do.
I think it's the mental, like the mindset shift of hearing you say, we work together, that gives you mutual respect of colleagues. I've never thought of that, but I think that's really cool.
So you said that you expanded because you had kind of an opportunity with the right location.
Yeah, Council Bluffs. The first one was Council Bluffs, and same thing, right? You think of Council Bluffs, like Council Tucky, that's over there. There was an Ace Hardware that had been vacant for a long time. A furniture store moved in there very briefly. The owners of the building were like, they wanted somebody in there like right now, and it was just too good of a deal to turn down. I think we got like a year of free rent. I mean, a year.
You can't make that up. That gives you a year to build a business.
Yep. So that happened right after we came out of COVID. For buying into a new business, I guess if I back up a little bit, the first year things were pumping along pretty good, and then COVID happened, and that was really scary. Like, that was terrible. And we had about 45 days there where I was kind of concerned I was going to have to tell my wife, I'm going to have to ask that guy in Alabama for a job again because I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do this. We spent everything we had and something we didn't have. After that sale happened where we were allowed to open and people were shopping again, it just took off. So that was like a kind of a neat change.
Well, what did you do during that time when you were truly freaking out? Like, okay, we've overspent. We don't have a backup plan. We got to figure this out. What did you do?
I worked my ass off. I worked so hard that I can't even describe it. I was in that one of the locations, if not all of them, every single day from early in the morning until 9 o'clock. I drove truck. I opened the store. I ran the registers. I sorted the clothes. I did every single job. I've done all this stuff for 30 years, guys. I know how to do it all, but I hadn't done it all in a while. So to be back out there doing some of that, that was really rough. So I also really appreciated when people started coming back to work. That meant a lot because I was like, some of these guys, I don't know if they're going to come back, if they want to work. And just about everybody came back like when those first couple months passed. So I guess you could say I was extra thankful. And then the team stuck around and still has a lot of them.
I mean, I've worked retail, and I know that it's a different ballgame in terms of what you're doing. And I think there is, as entrepreneurs, like a leveling out process that happens when you have to do the job that you don't normally do that isn't always fun. You know, when I have somebody out and I have to like write copy, or I have to, be on a client call to walk them through how to use their website. And, we don't have an account manager because it's the holidays. It just reminds you to be empathetic towards your team members too, for the things that they do that you don't want to do and that you don't necessarily even enjoy. Because, you got to find people that do enjoy it.
Yeah. At that time I think we had 5 stores, 4 for sure, maybe 5. And I mean, I was all over the place. It was very, very challenging. And we still had people that wanted stuff taken out of their house because everybody was sitting home and they're like, we got to clean out our closets. And the phone was ringing. We had product coming over ears, but nobody shopping.
Well, that's got to be another stress, is you always have to have product.
Yeah.
Like, it's not something that you just call, a supplier. Say, we're getting low on this, and this.
No.
Like, that's a constant battle in versus out for
Yep.
you. That's not most business owners.
Yeah, you have a steady place where you can just call and put them off. Yeah, so we have to do a really good job There's not a lot of operators that run trucks anymore that do house pickups. So that's one thing that we're kind of unique on. We have 18 trucks out on the road every day. So if someone calls and says, "Hey, you don't want to have a house clean out," there's not a lot of options. We're also like next day or following day responsive. So if you call tomorrow, I can get you on Monday in almost any case. And we're very, very like we're set up to respond quickly when people call to donate. So that's something
People want the convenience. So that
Yeah.
I'm sold on that. You know, like, oh, you're going to come out and get it? Thank
Yep.
God. Because
Yep.
otherwise I'm going to put it in my car. It's going to
Drive
sit there
around
for 2 months because, I never actually take it.
Yep. And we have a bunch of those donation bins around. There's hundreds of them. And then, like I said, we have these charity partners that we buy stuff directly from. And then we do like donation drives. Sometimes we'll do drives for people that want to raise funds for schools or churches or whatever. And we'll just buy the product from them by the pound. And we'll actually facilitate the drive a lot.
I have a real question, a burning question. Do you ever just end up with too much product and go, oh, SHIT, we just got to have a sale right away?
He just throws that text out there.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Does that ever drive it?
We go through real lean times like after Christmas and in December, January, like when it snows, it's hard to have trucks go out when the roads are changing, right? So you always want to have some piled up. But yeah, there's times it gets pretty heavy, and we have like some storage facilities where we have overflow product, and then in the lean times we kind of withdraw on that.
Okay, I have a question. We can take this out if this. I don't know. Okay.
Go for it.
So tell me what the difference between you and like a Goodwill is.
So the Goodwill has 3,500 stores. They have almost 200 branches of Goodwill, and they're all independently operated. They have a big corporate structure. They have tons of infrastructure. They're pretty awesome, actually, if you think about it. They're over 100 years old. They have a lot of people that are very capable in their organization. And I don't have anything bad to say about them. I mean, they're really the difference is, I'm small, mom and pop. I don't have a big corporate infrastructure of people to call on for ideas or whatever. And if I have a management issue in, one of my remote markets, I don't have 12 stores in that area that I can pluck somebody out of and move. Like I think the smaller Goodwills are creeping up on like close to 20 in their networks now. I mean, they're consolidating across the country in their different groups right now. And I mean, they've just got a lot of support.
What's the difference in the business model? Because I think you guys have different business models, right?
They're very dependent on drop-off. We love drop-off. It's easier. You're not the trucks, less people. But they're like all in on drop-off. So when people want to donate to Goodwill, you almost have to bring it to Goodwill. There's a few like drop-off stations that they have. Omaha doesn't have many of them, but they used to. But really, that's probably the biggest one. The other, I guess, significant difference is they're directly offering classes for people. They're investing in like teaching people how to drive forklifts, how to do their taxes. They're supporting those kind of things directly. When we do it, but it's indirectly through a charity partner. When we're giving funds to Big Brothers or paralyzed veterans or whoever the charity partner is, they use those funds for whatever. The Goodwill does that directly.
Interesting. Okay. We now understand.
I do. I've learned a lot.
They are good. Like they have their act together. I mean, their stores are clean, organized, tight, and the Omaha market is exceptional. I've been in hundreds of their stores across the country, and they're not all as good as Omaha's. Omaha's really good, and they have really good leadership. I know Janelle is their COO, and she's top 12th year's person.
Yeah, I've met her once before. She's wonderful.
So do you still, I know you have the text campaign, but is there like a website? Do you still market? Like how do you compete or get your name out there, especially on like when you just have one, like you
Well,
open
their
one in St.
e-commerce,
Joe's?
yeah, their e-commerce business is starting to grow, I think, a
Yeah,
lot more.
yeah, we have an e-commerce site too. That's its own kind of beast. But as far as like marketing to get in front of people, we have a in-house service now. We have a person that does like all the campaigns. And we use a Lumley calendar, very similar to what they have. And I've just looked for people that are like full time, giving us all their effort and going from store to store, taking all the photographs, making videos, and finding catchy stuff for the kids to look at. We use Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and Twitter and all the stuff, LinkedIn. So we're on a lot of different social networks.
How has your e-commerce business grown? Because I know that it is successful for you guys, and it's also it's like a different channel. So
Yep.
you're juggling, right?
Yep. So top line, it's grown really well every single year. Bottom line, last year was the first year we didn't kind of go backwards in it, but it's been a very neat growth story. Um, the last year, a year ago, July, I got a really cool software that all of the Goodwills use. And it took me going to a conference with all these guys that are Goodwill CEOs in Dallas last year. And I sat through it and learned exactly what they do and met the people that gave them the software that they use, other than the Shop Goodwill software. That's one that's just theirs. But almost every single Goodwill network is linked into this software called Upright. And that was the jam. Like that took all the stupid stuff that we were doing wrong away. It made it so what we listed properly. We couldn't do it wrong by using the software. So it was a very helpful meeting.
Well, I think it's a great lesson for entrepreneurs listening who think they don't have anything to learn from their competitors or think they have to be like this. When you open like this, you get the opportunity to figure out what other people are doing that can work for you. And to be honest, as you may know, I shop at both Goodwill and Thriftworld. I love a good Saturday afternoon with a mocha latte going to all the thrift stores. I'm not just going to one. So why not become friends with your competitors? Because you can figure out how to market to the same people.
It was really cool at that convention. I was the worst operator. There's Goodwill CEO from Hawaii and Arizona and every place you could think of. They all had 30 or 40 stores in their chain. And I was the worst operator. And those guys were so nice and welcoming and sharing of information. Like it was really cool. And I think I made a LinkedIn post about that back then. That like, I mean, they didn't have to do that open arms, and they totally were. It was great. And I've made friends with those people that I met out there. Still communicate with.
So what is the plan for Thrift World in 5-10 years then?
I'm just going to keep on expanding. People always ask me, what's your exit strategy? I don't have an exit strategy. I've been doing this since I was 22 years old. I just bought it. So I'm going to just keep on expanding. I've had people approach me about, like, would you be interested in talking to somebody in private equity? I'm just not interested. I like doing, and I think that, I'm still not 80, right? I have a lot of energy. Yeah, I have a lot of energy to keep putting into this. So at this moment, I'm just going to keep on expanding. Starting next year, we'll probably add another store or two.
If you could talk to young Steve in his 20s who's just getting into the industry, what would you tell him?
Be patient. Young Steve was kind of wild, so probably should have drank a little less beer, went to bed a little earlier. My first big move into thrift, I left a little town in Minnesota and they moved me to Las Vegas. And so that was a really hard um, culture shock. And, you know, people are 24 hours a day there. And I was from a little town, and I was like having a ball, and I should have probably been spending more time learning than running around wild.
Yeah, but running around wild's fun too, isn't it?
It really was. I mean, I love it. I had so much fun. I had so much fun. But I think, being patient about like, you know, not everybody's going to figure out a relationship. Things don't always work the way you plan. And, I could have very well stayed working for that family that I worked for out of Alabama forever. They were awesome. If I hadn't had a blow up with my uncle, I could have stayed with them. He still has the company. It's like 50 or 60 years old now, and they still have 9 or 10 stores. Um, you know, the plan started out at Las Vegas, bounced around, came to Omaha, left, came back to home. So I guess, like I said, I'd be patient.
I think that a lot of people who get started in entrepreneurship young, I started when I was 25, 26. I think we forget that on the outside, it looks like everybody else is crushing it on LinkedIn, on social media, like they're all killing it. And we're just finding our way. And I think that one of the things I love about you, Steve, is you have a really great, genuine, just energy and an open way of letting people in and being very honest about what it is that you're trying to do and also where you're at in your business. And I think that that's something that I learned from working with you. And I wonder if you could share, how do you build, you have loyal people. I can feel that. How do you build that loyalty in every single store so that people want to follow you and work with you for years? Because you need consistency in the retail business.
But I like to think I'm pretty decent to everybody, not just how they get paid. I take care of my staff, right? But I like treat them very, very fair. And if something goes wrong, it's not the end of the world, right? So if they have done something dumb or something bad happened and it really is their fault, they don't have to worry that I'm going to get fired. They don't have to have that on their shoulders all the time if their sales are a little slow or if something's off in their location that they have to worry about their job. What they should be thinking about is how to make things better. And we do that together. And I was a store manager, right? I was an area manager. I was a single store manager for a long time. So I know exactly what they're going through. And I also know what it's like to be like, you know, living on peanut butter sandwiches and ramen noodles and not having it. I came into this industry a long time ago, didn't have anything. So if somebody's struggling and they've kind of worked their way into a management position, to me, that's something they should be very proud of, try to celebrate that with them. Totally like to teach people a little bit if they do goof up on something. But I also, try to be very decent.
Do you think people forget that in the beginning, you may not make a lot of money? Like, I feel like, not just in thrift, but like, I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs on Instagram are like in front of the Tesla and they're like, make 7 figures in 6 weeks, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, reality is the first couple years, as I'm sure you've
probably making $1 an hour for all the hours.
It's hard.
Yeah, it was terrible. Yeah, it was just terrible.
And you got to be in it for the long haul.
Yeah, and I like it. I mean, I like thrift. I still like it. I have to get away from being in the operations, tiny details with everybody all the time because I'll slow them down, start talking to them a lot, and it's stuff they got to get through. So, like ask whoever the person is in charge of the store with the manager, they'll be like, "Hey, yeah, get stuff done." But I still really like the business, and if somebody has a soft spot, whether it's hiring or training or pricing or whatever, I can help them with that. If they need a phone call, if they need a pep talk, if they need somebody to go through their numbers with them, if they need Austin needs to partner with somebody, like I enjoy that, and I do that with all the people in my leadership and management.
Listening to people's ideas, taking in the collaboration, also being willing to be told by your leadership team, no. And I think that is when success as a leader is when you hire people smart enough to tell you what to do.
Oh yeah, that's always the goal, you know? Well, it should be the goal.
Yeah,
It's
I
not a
want you
lot
to
of
tell me to
people's
shut
goal.
up.
Yes.
It also comes with that, like, there's people that you really, really like, and sometimes it doesn't work out. So I think my staff knows when, let's just say somebody goes and I can't work with them anymore. That's real hard on me because I've invested a lot of time and want them to be successful. I know they have families. I know they have kids and cars, and I care about all that stuff. And so if they screw up and I can't resolve it, it really bothers me. So I think like maybe that's a unique Steve thing.
Yeah, I think all of us have things, and as being an entrepreneur, that kind of stick with us or bother us or sticking points, you know? Mm-hmm. Chris, I know you've got a few.
I've got a few. No, and I love the whole scaling. I think that's just really big for a business owner to listen to with you. Like even the e-commerce thing, that's I would have never thought. You know, if I owned a thrift store, I would probably have been one and done, or not thought about the e-commerce because it's like, well, it's it's thrift stuff,
Yeah.
But there's a huge market for it now, and then you just keep, like you said, you're going to open up another store, and you're probably the e-commerce. You're going to keep working on that. Like, I love that you're not just complacent. Like that just shows that
How to be that way, I guess.
no matter what industry you're in, there's a way to scale your business, no matter what. Even if it's not adding in multiple locations, it's putting stuff online or adding a different product. There's just so many opportunities that you have to open your mind to all those, possibilities.
And I think there's a lot more we can do in the stores that we have. Remember I came from a really big operator and a mom and pop operator before that. There's stores that 3-4 times the volume we're doing, and they're not any smarter. They're more established and they're putting more stuff out. I mean, maybe we're not going to do the same volume as prime Austin, Texas location that has like a gazillion shoppers there, but we can still do much better in every single location we have. And that's just getting the right stuff out, getting it priced right, getting it merchandised right.
So as we come to the end of our journey together on the Unscripted Climb,
Wow, an hour blew by.
it really did. And your story, as always, is fascinating. And of course, I am so excited for the next Thrift World sale. When you think about the moments where you wanted to quit, the moments that were super tough as an entrepreneur over the past, decade, what has made you stay in it?
It's not a quit. I'm not. I have seen so many people do this that I thought I can do better. I can do this better, and I don't want to be like them. I want to do it my own way, and I just no way. I wouldn't stop. Nope.
I think that's the name of the episode.
I love it.
Thank you so much for coming on, Steve.
Yep.
Welcome.
Thanks, everybody.